Hello, my name's Lucy Ward and I'm the Ocean Programme Lead at the Earth Law Centre. I'm speaking to you today from inside the Jamaica Conference Centre, where we're participating as observers in the 31st Assembly Sessions of the International Seabed Authority. We're midway through this year's sessions, and the delegates and observers have been here for over 2 weeks in many cases, working through detailed points in the Council sessions before these Assembly sessions began. It's been a full few days. We've seen 2 new countries join the global movement calling for precaution, either a precautionary pause or a moratorium on deep-sea mining, Mauritius and Mozambique. This brings the total countries behind this stance to 45 after the joining of 3 African countries after the Our Ocean Conference in Mombasa earlier this year: Malawi, Kenya, and Madagascar. Among the discussion points addressed, there's been debate around the draft guidelines on the granting of observer status to contractors. This point was debated on Monday, and finalisation of that debate has been postponed to later in the week. Many states and observers expressed concerns and reservations at this move. Among these are a lack of negotiation on the draft guidelines and the details and intricacies of how contractors would be vetted and how their engagements might be regulated, especially in comparison with that of intergovernmental and non-governmental organisations. Many mention a potential decrease in impartiality and institutional confidence globally if this move was to be taken, especially in haste. It's important to note that contractors already have many touchpoints within the authority. Many join as part of member state delegations, which have voting power, unlike observers. They can participate in working groups and submit written statements, all of which have been and continue to be made use of. Many called for postponing this point until the 32nd sessions, taking place next year, when more detailed guidelines could be provided around the remit of potential engagements. States also highlighted frequently throughout the sessions their concerns around recent unilateral actions, referring to that of the US violating UNCLOS in pursuing deep-sea mining in international waters, and what it means for ensuring the ISA remains the sole body for regulating deep-sea mining. And the international community needs to be demonstrating support for this. Within the last hour of me giving this report, we then had a statement from the US as an observer state. Within the statement, the US took their first politically laden statement of the sessions. They spoke of emerging markets and supply chain security, as well as outlining the historic balance of economic growth and environmental protection, which seems less to those of us paying attention as a balance and more of a bulldozing. Then the adjoining of this point by the ISA Assembly President, with no explanation of when it would be reopened, leaves the US as the only observer who was able to speak on this agenda point, leaving a vastly unbalanced and unchallenged statement as the final word. Additionally, in today's sessions, Nauru discussed the importance of deep-sea mining on their economy and strongly opposed talks of a moratorium, as they claim it does real harm to small island developing nations. The delegates for Nauru came only for their own statement and walked out once it was completed. There's also been a strong focus on the common heritage of humankind and the mechanisms around equitable benefit sharing from various member states across the week. This was deeply aligned with the notes around unilateral action and also focused on funding and expenditure. There's been growing contributions at the sessions from developing states and increased financial needs around staff and travel. And with recent legal proceedings under ITLOS, financial pressure only increases. Some states are in arrears of their required contributions for up to 2 years. Many countries called for those in arrears to fulfill those payments as soon as possible. The deep importance of clear, accessible, and transparent scientific basis for mining were to proceed has also been a focus. There was recognition of the efforts to collect data and make that accessible. Although I think it's important to consider the impacts that even exploration and data collection will have on these vulnerable ecosystems in a likely irreversible manner. It's also important to note the lack of recognition in the formal spaces of diverse knowledge forms, which should be considered alongside that of scientific evidence, especially focusing on traditional and indigenous knowledge. The voice of the deep is not present here at the sessions, and the tireless work of indigenous groups, NGO observers, and driven individuals is moving us closer towards a place where those voices can be heard. And as these sessions continue to unfold in an intense geopolitical context, we must remain focused on what really matters: the inherent rights and value of the deep sea, and the voices of those who live in relationship with the ocean, now and in the future.